particular moment that made you decide to blow the whistle?
It was when David, who was at the time the head of the Libyan section in MI5, was briefed by his counterpart in MI6 that there was an approach by a Libyan military intelligence officer who wanted funding from MI6 to carry out the assassination plot. And this was an illegal plot because they didn't get prior permission from their political masters. And obviously it went wrong because Gaddafi survived, but actually innocent people died that day. 11 people were killed in the explosion and the shootout afterwards. So we hadn't signed up to the services to become complicit in state-sponsored terrorism. We were supposed to be trying to catch terrorism. So that's the moment we decided we had to try and do something. We'd raised all our concerns on the inside repeatedly, and we were always just told to shut up and not rock the boat and just follow orders. So we felt, the only recourse was to go to the media and try and create enough of a scandal that the government would be forced to hold an inquiry into the disclosures and then reform the laws that govern the spies.
What do you think, what processes need to be put in place to better protect whistleblowers like yourself and like Chelsea Manning?
Well, I think, first of all, there needs to be a public interest defence under the law. That's the very basic line that there should be. In fact, there used to be under the old Official Secrets Act in the UK, but that was removed in the 1980s because of a series of whistleblowing scandals in the 1980s. But I would suggest that actually we need a proper channel where whistleblowers can go, potential whistleblowers can go with their disclosures to be investigated properly by politicians and for the spies to be held to account. And if there is wrongdoing found, then they are reformed. And that would mean that the whistleblower won't have to go to the media, there won't be a huge scandal, there will be a reform, and the whistleblower won't have to go to prison. And I would have thought that would be a win-win both for the potential whistleblowers and also for the spy organisations as well.
How do you think everyday people and journalists can push for that to happen and can try and hold the government to account?
It's a difficult one, certainly in the UK, because we have this sort of culture of utter secrecy. The intelligence agencies are completely exempt from any form of proper oversight. They're exempt from the Freedom of Information Act. So we need, I think, proper reporting from the media when a whistleblower emerges. There's often a lot of briefing that goes on in the background from the intelligence agencies, and they always attack the whistleblower. And if the journalists could focus on the disclosures of the whistleblower and investigate those properly, I think that would make a much more powerful case for reform. And in fact, that's something Edward Snowden said in his very first interview. He did not want the case to be about him. He wanted the focus to be on the disclosures. So I think for journalists to do that, to hold power to account, is their job. And it's all too easy for pressures to be exerted on them by the spies and by their bosses to not do their job. So I think that's very important. And of course, by doing their job, they will inform the public, and the public can then take action, be it through civil society or be it through the ballot box.
In terms of government surveillance, what would be your answer to people who argue if you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to fear?
That's a wonderful little line that the government always trots out. It's not about doing anything wrong, it's about having a right to privacy. And that right was enshrined in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights straight after the Second World War, 1948, because they saw what the lack of privacy, what actually living in a spy state under the Gestapo in Germany had done to the democracy. So on a personal level, for example, one of the things that Snowden disclosed was a program called Optic Nerve, which is now known because of the John Oliver interview as the dick pic program. But everyone wants some sort of privacy, be it in their relationships or their communications or what they view on the internet or their banking or their health records, anything. So I think people do need to be aware that actually having privacy is not because you're trying to hide something, it's just because you want to keep your personal dealings private. On a societal level, if you lack privacy and you know that everything is being watched, then you begin to self-censor, particularly on the internet. So you stop watching things you might otherwise watch in case you go onto some sort of terrorist watch list. You don't say things freely, you don't communicate freely, and you certainly can't organise through civil society on issues that you care passionately about freely without giving away all your plans. So suddenly, if you have this sort of self-censored society, you lose proper free systems, and then you can't have a fully functioning democracy. And that's why it's so important to have privacy in place.
Thank you.
Thank you.